Welcome in, everybody. It is the Warchant Report. It is powered by Cummins. I'm Aslan Hudjavandi, joined by Irish O'Fell, managing editor of Warchant.com, and Jeff Cameron, wildly popular radio host. Hit that thumbs up. We appreciate you being here. And if you're going to make the Notre Dame, first off, give yourself a pat on the back or a shoulder. I mean, way to be a fan. And come hang out over at the Cummins tailgate, 1621 South Bend Avenue. It's Bend Avenue, and it's south. It's clever how they did this. It's the Belmont Beverage Lot, and I just got confirmation that, yes, no cover, catered food, and open bar. But they're going to ban you, everybody. They're going to put a wristband on you to monitor you to make sure you don't get too carried away. But go check it out. It's going down from 1 to 6 o'clock. Irish O'Fell and myself, I'm going to have to drag Ira there a little bit. It's close to where we're going to be parking, Ira. It's only like 0.3 of a mile away from where we're going to be parking, and I think it's like less than a half a mile from the stadium.
And I think Corey said everybody gets a free generator as long as you can carry it out. I think that's what Corey said.
You think they'll let me carry one onto the bus on the way back to Chicago? Would they be cool with that?
We'll see.
Give them a follow, Cummins Lifestyle on Instagram. It's all one word. Florida State folks behind this partnership. They're awesome, trying to help us out here. And check out the owner line of products. The gift to give anybody that already has everything would be an awesome generator from Cummins or possibly a portable power station. Again, we thank you for being here. Florida State taking on Notre Dame. As we record this in full transparency, we've done this before. The College Football Playoff poll has dropped, but I assume Notre Dame is going to be inside the top 10 of that poll as well. Last I saw, Jeff, I don't know if you can confirm, what, 24 and a half, 24-ish or so is the
it had gone down. It was 25 and a half initially. I stopped looking because the number was so astronomical.
It was 26 at 1.2, so.
Woo.
Yeah.
My goodness. All right, so Florida State's got their work cut out for them, taking on another iconic brand on the road. Won't be a snowy game, but a little bit chilly than the Florida boys are used to. So I do wonder about this, though, Jeff. I think everybody's looking ahead to getting the season over with. I know that's what kind of Ira said on headlines, or maybe he said on the Monday hit he did on your show. But it still is a football game, and Florida State went up in a somewhat similar circumstance in 2020 in Mike Norvell's first season, where they had a losing record, went up and played against a team that made it to the playoff, but they made it a competitive game. And there were some things that you saw and you're like, okay, there's something to build on here. I know that all hope is lost for this season and we're thinking about the future, but this coach needs to do something cool on the field for this fan base to feel good about itself. Is that fair or unfair? Is there anything that could important happen for the future of Florida State on the Saturday night game in South Bend?
Well, first of all, I looked it up while we were talking. It's 26.
Okay.
It's back up to 26. So the odds makers don't think so, Aslan. They don't think anything cool is going to happen for Florida State. And frankly, I don't think anything cool is going to happen for Florida State. I don't know that it's necessary because I think it's a little bit like, most people in their mind now have predetermined what this season is and maybe even what this coaching staff is, fair or not. I think everybody's just looking forward to the end of it all. And the changes that are going to occur at some point here in the very near future. I would love to, idealistically, I would love to see this team show some fight one more time to give you an indicator that maybe they're going to fight at the end of the year against Florida too. I mean, it is a rivalry game after all, at home. You'd like to see some presence from the young kids fighting their tails off that give you a reason to believe that they're invested still, which might give you a better reason to believe that they'll be around here next year, because I think a lot of people are wringing their hands right now about whether or not the young players, the young talent on this team that we refer to all the time as the one thing to be excited about, how many of them are going to be here? If they were still fighting, if they were still invested, if they somehow made this a game, maybe you would get a sense that they are committed and that they do want to be here. But it's hard to predict that given what we just saw against North Carolina.
Ira, let me reframe it then. I guess the last two times Florida State has been in South Bend, they had a losing record, and it pretty much, whatever hope you had in Willie Taggart was seemingly lost in that 2018 debacle. The 2020 game, you came out of it, and you still weren't all that happy, but there were some things that you felt good about. I guess, is it important for this game to resemble something closer to 2020 as opposed to 18, and how that just completely seemed to take any last shred of hope out of the fan base in that season?
Yeah, you obviously, if you love Florida State, you don't want to see your team, give up or cash in the chips. The problem is we just saw that game against North Carolina where Florida State was not competitive. After the first quarter, maybe Florida State didn't seem like they were all that interested in being there. The offense was abysmal, which it has been all season, but the defense never got off the field. It was one third down conversion after third down conversion after third down conversion. And, it's just so it's hard to watch that game and then think, oh, yeah, 7 days later, that same group of players is going to go up to Notre Dame, probably in not the greatest weather conditions compared to Tallahassee in the fall or in early November, and give this heroic effort. And the problem is, like to Jeff's point, you don't think most of these coaches are going to be here, or a lot of these coaches are going to be here next year. So it's not even like something you really can build on. But yes, man, you'd like to see him compete. And honestly, there's nothing left of this season other than pride. That's the only thing that's left in this season. And so every time you step on the field, you want to show pride, especially the last game of the season against Florida. So if I'm this coaching staff, if I'm Mike Norvell and I'm this coaching staff, nobody knows these players better than they do. And so if I'm them, man, there's nothing to play for other than pride. So if guys are not playing with pride, I would not keep them on the field.
Yeah.
And there's no reason to play anybody else. And I'm not saying everybody's quit. Some guys are playing. And if they are, they stay out there. But if they're not, man, why are they even on the field at this point?
100% agree. And that's the thing I think, Ira, you've touched on. That's the bedrock of the frustration. The losses in the lost season have already been determined. We know that, right? Like you just said. Yeah. But when people watch kids not effort, not try, not hit, not trigger downhill and fire and do their job, who look disinterested, they really become crestfallen when they see them back out there on the next series. And when they see him after the series after that, when a kid's already proven to you, not once but twice, maybe even we caught a glimpse of the camera as you came off the field and the coach was yelling at you about your effort, and then you still go back out there, that's where you begin to lose faith that there's any credibility or accountability. And I think that's how you can do even more damage than just this season and just these losses is right. To continue to play guys who do not care. This is a primetime game against Notre Dame. I get it. A lot of people may not be watching this game because they have other choices, but enough eyes are on that television. You could be doing a lot of damage to your brand as you watch guys just kind of half-stepping from play to play and get the reward of going back out there.
Yeah, it's just crazy. There's, upsets happen. I'm not trying to ask for one, but just it feels like even having this game be competitive feels like such a monumental ask. And it's crazy to think about that. So let's think about something else. In honor of starting off with Ira on this question, I'm going to make it a two-parter, Ira.
All right.
This game, the staff, is this the last game this coaching staff as it's currently constructed remains? And if Mike does make some changes during the bye week, because again, Florida State has Notre Dame this coming weekend. They're off the following weekend. Then they have Charleston Southern. Second part of it is if he doesn't make any changes in this bye week, what does that say? And if he does make some changes, what does that say?
I'm going to answer them in reverse order. I don't know that it means anything for the long term if he doesn't make changes this Sunday, I guess, because I don't think that means he's not going to make major changes after the season. I thought his comments early this week where he talked about this next season is going to be different. He said that emphatically. I think lets you know that he realizes he's got to make major changes. So I think that's going to come either way. To me, I think the question is whether or not he does them during the season or not. It seems to me the fact that he hasn't made any changes yet makes me believe he's of the opinion that's not going to help anything to make changes during the season. So he's probably going to wait till later. Maybe he does do it this Sunday. If I had to predict it, I hope he does. I really hope he does make some changes after this game. I think it makes sense. Again, you're not hurting this season's chances. This season is a disaster no matter what you do. And you have people that can fill those roles. So I think I believe he should make some changes because I just think it would be a good message to the fan base to know he is taking this seriously. He knows how bad this is. He's going to make some changes. And this is a good sign that it's a step in the right direction for the future. If I had to predict it, I'll say that no, he won't. I don't think he will make changes. If I had to pick, and it's probably 55-45, I'll say he's not going to, but it doesn't mean anything for the future. So I think this coaching staff may coach out the rest of the season, but I think he should at least make a few after this game.
Jeff, is this the last game this coaching staff as it's currently constructed is together? And if the game goes as badly as Vegas is saying, and Mike does make some changes, what is that kind of message does it send? And if he doesn't make any changes and keeps the status quo, what kind of message does that send, if any?
I think we're on the same page. Ira and I are. I don't know that if he doesn't make a change after this game going into the bye week, that it means anything long-term about whether or not he'll make significant changes when the season ends. I think there's no doubt he is going to. In fact, I think, again, alluding to Ira's comments about Mike's comments, that he basically let the cat out of the bag when he said what he said this past week. And I think that is encouraging if you're a fan who desperately wants to see these changes. You know that it's necessary. You just maybe wanted confirmation that the coach also knew it was necessary. So maybe that's what you gleaned from that. I had already accepted that he had to know that changes were forthcoming and something that he had to do begrudgingly or not. You can't have this kind of a disaster and not decide to shake things up. You can't run it back. That's for sure. I think he might make a change or two. I don't know that it's going to change anything about this year, but I do think with the compressed way that recruiting and transfer portal and all that stuff happens now, signing day being so close to the end of the season, I do think maybe you can get a head start on the kind of communications or the messages that you're sending out to recruits and you're sending out perhaps to other coaches about the shakeup that's coming. But again, I think Mike is going to make a lot of changes. This season's lost. I don't know that making 2 or 3 changes or a singular change at the end of this game after Notre Dame blows out Florida State changes much. But I do think you could maybe get a head start in areas where perhaps a coach is aware that they're gone. Recruiting has come to a complete halt. I don't know at what point that coach serves any purpose on the staff. So maybe you get a head start.
All right. We got 2 more segments left, everybody. You energized? You feel revitalized and reinvigorated? We'll get a look at what's going on in Notre Dame and South Bend. First year OC. Notre Dame seems to be hitting their stride offensively. Is that the case? What should Florida State expect from the Irish on Saturday? We'll get to that next, right here on the Warchant Report, powered by Cummins. Your favorite football team doesn't stop pushing its limits on the climb to the top, and neither does a global power technology leader like Cummins. Cummins has released its new QG4000i generator and is taking it across the country to show America that whether it's turbo diesel engines or taking it easy in your RV, life is a little bit better with a touch of the Cummins lifestyle. The Own and Unplugged tour is crisscrossing the country, including a stop in South Bend, Indiana, home of Notre Dame, when the Fighting Irish host Florida State on November 9th. FSU will play like a champion. You come by and tailgate like one. Follow Cummins Lifestyle on Instagram for updates, and don't forget to get involved every week in generating discussion on Wake Up Warchant for your opportunity to win free Cummins swag and a chance at a portable generator or power station. Cummins Lifestyle on Instagram. Give it a follow. Welcome back. It's the Warchant Report powered by Cummins. Cummins Lifestyle, all one word on Instagram. Give it a follow, and then head on over to the tailgate again, 1621 South Bend Avenue in South Bend, Indiana. It's the Belmont Beverage Lot, 1 to 6 o'clock. Look for the Cummins RV. All the cool people will be hanging out there. Free drinks, full bar, and catered food. It's got to be of age, everybody, and behave yourself. We got classy clientele over at the Cummins tailgate, so button up, but have some fun at the same time, too. Notre Dame heading into this contest inside the top 10 in both of the major polls. Marcus Freeman's got himself a defense that looks just as ferocious as he advertised. Where, if any, vulnerabilities lie in this roster, Matt Lasser found out, hung out with Mike Singer from Blue and Gold Illustrated.
And welcome back to another game week, another Warchant Report, and going through the matchups of Notre Dame here with Mike Singer from Blue and Gold Illustrated on 3's Notre Dame site. So if you want to learn more about this Notre Dame team going into this game this week, definitely go over there and check. We'll start off with the quarterback. Florida State fans should be fairly familiar with Riley Leonard. He obviously was at Duke last year. We played him last year. How much have you seen him improve at Notre Dame this year?
This is someone, at the start of the season, Notre Dame fans were calling for him to be benched. Now he's like one of the top quarterbacks in college football from his play these past 4 or 5 games. So designed runs, getting outside the pocket, sitting in the pocket at like 6'4", 215 pounds, throws well short to intermediate game. Can run designed runs, gets outside the pocket when he needs to. The hole in his game right now, is definitely the deep ball. 40 yards and he's pretty good. 45 plus. It's not Riley Leonard's strength right now, but he is definitely playing his best football in a Notre Dame uniform right now, and this is really when they need him to play that. I mean, you're in this stretch run to make the college football playoff, and Riley Leonard really is the engine that makes this team go.
Yeah, for sure. And then let's talk more about the weapons. The running game has been really good for Notre Dame. Kind of had a two-headed monster there, and then what we have at wide receiver.
Yeah, the running backs are really good. Jeremiah Love's one of the best ball carriers in the country. Speed. I mean, he can run between the tackles, get some tough yardage. Jajarian Price, a little bit bigger, but he runs pretty well when he gets a full steam going. And then at the receiver position, not Notre Dame's strength offensively. Bo Collins, someone you'll be familiar with, played for Clemson for a few years. He's kind of the number one wide receiver for the Irish. Jaden Greathouse, 6'1", 215-pound sophomore. You'll see him in the slot. Chris Mitchell is a speedster, played at FIU for a few years. But in terms of Notre Dame's passing game, it's going to be a lot of Bo Collins. You're going to see Jaden Greathouse. You'll see Jordan Faison, a lacrosse player at Notre Dame as well, 5'10", 184 pounds. He's kind of a slot and an outside guy. And then tight end, Notre Dame's got one of the better ones in the country at Mitchell Evans. Mitchell Evans, 6'5", 260-pound senior. You'll see him on some third downs being featured.
Awesome. And now as we flip over to the defense, kind of what should we expect there?
Bend but don't break. Notre Dame is very much a defense that will do a lot of like window dressing before the snap with defensive coordinator Al Golden, who's one of the best in the game. But at the end of the day, a lot of cover one. Like, they are just going to come after you, leave their defensive backs and man coverage, and they're going to give up some chunk plays, but they're also going to create some havoc. So, if it's going to be a test for Florida State and their offense. Like, can they get that screen call at the very right time to break open a big gain when Notre Dame's coming after you? We know FSU has the talent. So, like, for me, when you look at this big spread of 26 points or whatever it is right now, I'm like, man, FSU has good players. They could come to play against Notre Dame, and this could be a tighter game because if you can get sustained success on this Notre Dame defense, like, you kind of figure them out, you can move the football. But at the blink of an eye, Notre Dame, I mean, they have the players to make that big play, whether it's a sack, strip fumble thing, or you make that interception. The Notre Dame defense does a really good job of creating turnovers.
Awesome, man. That's all we got. Again, this is Mike Singer from Blue and Gold Illustrated, the On3 site for Notre Dame. Again, put it out there. If you want to learn more in depth about this team than what we just did, go over there. Everyone over there does great work. Thank you again, Mike.
Thanks to Matt and Mike for that. So much you want to get out of these few games, but so few expectations. And I start off with you, Jeff. Quarterback is the one thing that we hope we would see some sort of clarity on. How are you grading Luke and Brock? It's seemingly everybody is giving them so much benefit of the doubt, which they deserve, but you're never going to have a perfect offense. And this is clearly an imperfect offense. So how can you grade these guys? Have you been grading them, or will spring really be a determination in terms of just how capable these two guys are?
Yeah, much more so. Spring will be much more so. I think you got a much better shot at getting a feel for who they are because I would like to believe from this time to that time, we are going to see some significant changes in personnel on the offensive line. Aslan, I really have a hard time fairly assessing either one of these guys because there's no balance. They do not have the ability to block it up. They're running for their life more often than not. They've had a lot of drops when they have been in there as well. There hasn't really been a reliable aspect of this offense. I grade out toughness. I look for some things that sort of what for you want from a competitor. Right. I look for kids that kind of hang in there and are at least trying to process what they're seeing and go through their progressions. But both quarterbacks frequently hold the ball too long, especially behind this offensive line. They don't have a semblance of a running game to rely on, so play action doesn't become a reality either. I think it's kind of a fool's errand at this point to draw any real significant conclusions about either one of these kids. You can say, I think Luke has more tools than Brock. because I do. I believe that's true. I don't know if he's going to be a better quarterback, but I see some of those tools and I say, maybe he's got the better arm, right? He's a bigger kid. Perhaps. You can say both are tough kids. I think that's true. I think they both are tough guys. They're both competitors. They both want to win. But I think assessing how this offense runs with either one of these guys right now, again, isn't really fair to either one of these two quarterbacks, given the fact that they have no protection, no run game, and no reliable wide receivers.
Yeah. Ira, I don't know if it's like the LeBron meme when he's pointing at J.R. Smith in the NBA Finals, like, what are you doing? But, Brock seems to have some accuracy issues. Luke seems to have maybe some decision-making processing, not as fast as possible, but it's, what do you expect for me to do? Look at what I'm dealing with. I mean, is that the case where we're at, or is there anything that you can tangibly evaluate from these guys to, use as kind of a building block for the future, immediate future?
Earlier this week, I asked, Mike Norvell about Luke holding the ball too long and, what was kind of going on there. And he said, well, some of it was, maybe he's not expecting what he sees from the defense. They're doing something he didn't expect. And then sometimes when he looks out on the field, maybe the receivers aren't doing what he thought they were going to do, or they're not responding to what the defense did correctly. So it's just like this malfunctioning machine. And to Jeff's point, I think we all think the same thing. It's just hard once those machine parts are not firing correctly. It's hard to pick one part out and say, okay, this is performing well or not well. I think honestly, ironically, I think Luke is a better runner than I expected. So that's kind of surprising. And Brock has had some moments throwing the football, especially kind of late in a couple of these games, a Clemson game, and where he's made some throws that I was like, okay, all right, those are better throws than maybe I've seen in practice. So it hasn't been all terrible. They have some skills that maybe are even better than we thought in certain areas. I still, as Jeff said, I still think if I was going into next season, I would put my money more on Luke and believe that if you had a functioning offense with a running game and receivers who could get open and pass protection, that I think he could be a better quarterback. The problem is, and this is going to be the problem for Mike Norvell, because I don't see any of this getting fixed in these next few games, is how can you go into next season putting all your chips on either one of those guys or on them combined? Because you don't know. There's no way to know for sure what they're going to look like assuming everything did function well. It's hard to know that you'd have the right guy. So that's going to be a challenge for him, man. I don't know how you ride with either one of them or both of them and not go get somebody else. But if you do go get somebody else, obviously you're kissing one or both of them goodbye. So it's as Jeff likes to say, his ass is in the jackpot on this one, I think.
I think it is. And by the way, real quick, gentlemen, I do think, once again, this has been a theme throughout the course of this year, and I sensed it again this week. It might have been after you asked him about it. I think our head coach thinks that the future is Luke. I mean, he seems to give indicators that he thinks it's Luke. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but, man, every time he talks about him compared to the way he talks about the other guy, I get a sense that he's kind of excited with what Luke's future looks like here.
And he very well may be wrong.
Right.
As we've seen so far.
That is absolutely true. He may have misevaluated Ira. We don't know.
Let's see.
Sadly, we haven't been very wrong on our predictions of late. We've been predicting Florida State to lose. We'll see if any of that changes. You're here for the predictions. They're coming up right after this on the Warchant Report, powered by Cummins. Your favorite football team doesn't stop pushing its limits on the climb to the top, and neither does a global power technology leader like Cummins. Cummins has released its new QG4000i generator and is taking it across the country to show America that whether it's turbo diesel engines or taking it easy in your RV, life is a little bit better with a touch of the Cummins lifestyle. The Own and Unplugged tour is crisscrossing the country, including a stop in South Bend, Indiana, home of Notre Dame, when the Fighting Irish host Florida State on November 9th. FSU will play like a champion. You come by and tailgate like one. Follow Cummins Lifestyle on Instagram for updates, and don't forget to get involved every week in generating discussion on Wake Up Warchant for your opportunity to win free Cummins swag and a chance at a portable generator or power station. Cummins Lifestyle on Instagram. Give it a follow. Warchant Report, powered by Cummins. Come hang out at the Cummins tailgate over at the Belmont Beverage Lot, 1621 South Bend Avenue, 1 to 6 o'clock. Food, full bar, frivolity, friends, Florida State fans. Come for all of it, but also check out the awesome Onin product line that Cummins is offering. Portable generators, portable power stations, generators for your RV. They got you covered. And follow them again on Instagram, Cummins Lifestyle, all one word. All right, predictions, the best part of the show, the most watched part of the show, but maybe not as, eagerly as it has been in the past. But nonetheless, we persevere. Picks, game predictions from the rest of the staff over at warchant.com.
What's up, Seminole fans? I'm here to give you my prediction for Florida State Notre Dame. Notre Dame is ranked 10th in the country, has one of the best defenses in the country, and I believe has won 8 straight games. Florida State has lost 5 straight games and has the worst offense in the United States. It's not going to be pretty. The spread is 25. That seems about right. Notre Dame has bigger games to play. I don't know that they're going to, if they get a big lead, when they get a big lead, they're probably going to rest their starters on both sides of the ball. I would think specifically on defense because they know Florida State's going to have a hard time moving. I would hope that Florida State can manage 2 touchdowns. That seems like a bit more of hope than faith. And it's just a bad matchup. Notre Dame's very physical, can run the ball well. Florida State does not stop the run all that well. And then obviously Florida State doesn't do much of anything on offense. So I'm going to say with all that in mind, and Notre Dame maybe taking it easy in the fourth quarter, I'm going to say Notre Dame 36, Florida State 16.
I can't really see Florida State winning this one, for being honest. I think most people kind of agree. I do think Notre Dame will likely cover. I just think their run game is so good, and Florida State hasn't been able to stop the run consistently enough to really show that they have it really in them or have like the capability to really watch or win this game. So I'll go 40-13 Notre Dame.
Thanks to the gentlemen for their picks and for the others for mailing it in. Literally. Just went ahead and made some graphics. It's all right. 7:30, NBC/Peacock, but it should be on NBC. It should be on the real channel. So that's cool. Florida State, nearly a 4-touchdown underdog in this one. Jeff Cameron, I don't know if you want to call for a cover or give us a prediction, a score prediction. Just predict anything that's going to happen in the football game when Florida State and Notre Dame lock horns 7:30 in South Bend, Indiana.
Sadly, I predict Notre Dame's going to win, Aslan. By the way, very good use of frivolity on your part. I'm proud of you. Love that word. That said, I don't feel any sense of joy as we sit here and talk about this game. I think that Notre Dame will do whatever they want for the most part, especially because they play a physical brand of football and they want to run the football, and we don't seem real interested in stopping the run, at least not for 4 quarters, maybe for a couple drives. I just think at the end of the day, I'll go 38-10 Notre Dame. And really, I'm throwing darts here. I mean, that number is around, 45, 47, something like that, whatever it was you said at the beginning of the show. So I'll go 38-10 Notre Dame.
Ira, anything to disagree with our compatriot there about how it's going to shake out?
So, last week I was the one that actually picked Florida State to beat North Carolina. So I appreciate you not bringing that up, Aslan, but that was not my finest moment. I thought that these guys still had some fight in them, and I didn't think North Carolina was all that good. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know if the Notre Dame is as good as their record indicates. I mean, they have not beaten really Texas A&M the first game. Other than that, they really haven't beaten good football teams. Oh, hey. But that's
the Naval Academy, man. Don't say that's the Naval Academy, my friend.
Whatever.
That was ugly.
Yeah, I still think it doesn't matter. There's no way after what we saw against North Carolina. It felt like this team kind of gave some good effort against Duke, even though you had the turnovers that kind of put them behind the 8 ball. They fought to stay in that game and maybe give them a chance to come back. I thought they fought for a good chunk of the Miami game, and it seemed like that fight was gone last week. So it's hard to imagine it's going to come back. So yeah, I think Jeff's probably about on the right place. I actually was going to say 38-7. And I'm going to stick there. I'm going to say 38-7. I have no idea, guys, how they're going to score 7 points, but I'm going to say 38-7.
They'll go 42-6. They're coming off a bye week. Feels like maybe they're going to probably feel some slighted again. I don't know exactly where they're at in the college football playoff poll, but maybe they want to prove some sort of point. Riley Leonard's getting comfortable in that Denbrock offense, kind of the way Jaden Daniels did the second half of 2022. So probably going to get the best shot out of a pretty good team so far. And Florida State didn't practice all that well this week. So at least I didn't think so. I thought it was a good work day on Tuesday, so maybe I'm wrong.
38. I'm changing mine to 38-6.
Oh,
because I like the 2 Fitzgerald field goals. I like that. I feel like 2 54-yarders.
All right, guys, you've convinced me. I'm changing my score, 45-7, 45-7 Notre Dame.
Oh boy!
Oh my gosh! You know how many times I've done a podcast and my co-host I haven't been able to change his mind at all, and then I just offered up some half-baked explanation. You guys are like, you know what? Maybe I'm going to change my mind now.
Good. Yeah, 45-7 it is, boys.
There we go. All right, so Noel Gifts or whoever keeps tabulation on the scores. That's the final one out of Jeff right there. Thanks so much for watching this edition of the Warchant Report powered by Cummins. Again, check out the tailgate 1 to 6 o'clock, 1621 South Bend Avenue. Check out the Jeff Cameron show leading up to game day, pregame show, postgame show, coach speak out there, wake up Warchant. No one covers your Noles like Warchant.com does. Check us out. FSU one's a promo code. You can check us out for 2 months for only $1 and get everything else on the On3 network. So consider it. Holidays are coming up. Maybe gift it to somebody.
And all three of us are going to be there this weekend. So hopefully we'll get to see some of you, and we'll have a good time. We can all still have fellowship, even if this football season.
All we have, Ira. It's all we have.
For Ira and Jeff and the rest of the Warchant.com staff, I'm Aslan Hajavani. Thanks so much for watching the Warchant Report powered by Cummins.